It is morphin' time, movie man. It's morphin' time! It's morphin' time. It's morphin' time. It's morphin' time.
How's it going, guys?
What's up? Alright, Movie Meals, we're going to talk about the brand new Power Rangers. Now, clearly, I'm a bigger fan. I grew up on this. I get it. We're going to have Kyle go first. Kyle, what were the positives?
I was not
of this
expecting
movie?
that. You know what? I enjoyed myself a lot more than I thought I would. I mean, the trailers were getting me a little bit more amped, but I still wasn't, as hyped for this movie as, a lot of fans were, such as Alex over here. But I ended up having a good time. It's definitely one of those movies where you just sit down, shut your brain off, and have a good time.
A Fast and the Furious, if you will.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. It made me think about franchises like this that did a really good job at sticking to the source material that they have in the past, while at the same time making something fresh and new. I think it did a much better job, unlike other things that we've seen in the past, such as the Ninja Turtles movies or the Transformers movies. I think this one did a much better job, definitely did a much better job compared to past franchises that have tried to do this similar thing. And I really like the new stars that were becoming the Power Rangers. I enjoyed all the actors that played them. They're all very talented, and I could see them having bright futures. And they also played their characters very well. I thought that this movie did a really good job at bringing these different characters together for one common purpose while having enough character development within a story that wasn't written quite as well as it could have, but I'll get more into my negatives on that later. But for the most part, that was the thing that it did the best on. It introduced you to these new Power Rangers, and it did a really good job with building some character development between them. And overall, this is a fun ride. I mean, it's action-packed. There are some witty moments thanks to the delivery that the character, or through the actors, their delivery for some of the funny moments was definitely spot on to me. So overall, this movie was a blast. I actually had a lot more fun than I thought I would.
So I'm gonna talk first as a film critic,
okay,
and then we'll go to negatives, and then at the end of the show, I want to talk about how I was as a fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as a critic, just looking at this as not a big fan, it is really fun. It's a fun movie. It does nostalgia. It does everything that this property needs right, whereas Transformers isn't hitting.
Right.
Because even if you're not a big fan, people know what the Power Rangers is. It's people running around in spandex, hitting a bunch of monsters, and then getting into, giant Zords and robots to fight.
Yeah.
And it gives you that. And you need a few things in this movie for it to work, even for the hardcore fans and for the non. And they had that. They had the big action scenes. They had everything. And I enjoyed myself. There's funny moments. You're right. All the performances are really good. I think every single one of these kids could have their own really successful careers, especially Red, Pink, and Blue Rangers. Yes. I thought they were the standouts, and I do like the other two, but especially Blue. He really stood out, and I really enjoyed this. Their chemistry was really good, and I've seen interviews with these actors, and they really enjoyed doing this, and they seemed like they were fans of the property, and I love that. Bryan Cranston was great. Elizabeth Banks was great for the movie she was in, and we'll get to that in the negatives.
Right.
And there was cheesy moments, there was fun moments, and it had big action sets, and it was really fun to watch. Negatives.
Well, as I mentioned before, I don't think the writing was all that strong. I think it added to a reason why there was some cheese factor within it, but it was enough cheese where it didn't...
You needed some of the cheese, though.
Right, because it's the Power Rangers, obviously there was a lot of cheese, but it didn't overblow itself with the cheese, which I liked. But for the most part, the writing did add an element to a little bit of the cheese that was in this movie, and a lot of the writing and the dialogue I thought wasn't as strong, but because these actors and actresses did a really good job with their roles, they were able to pull off the not so great writing. I thought a few of the shots that the cameraman was doing, the cinematography type stuff,
the slow motion.
It's the slow motion stuff. Some of the panning shots they were trying to do, even some still shots that they kept doing a little bit of shaking cam stuff, was really throwing me out of the movie. I didn't really like that at all per se. Some of the action was good, and there was some action choreography stuff as well that I was kind of getting lost within. I don't think it was shot quite as well, so that really bugged me as well. Overall, though, I mean, like I said, this is a fun movie. It does have those problems that did take me out of the movie a lot more than I wish it would have, so it might lower my rating some, but overall, though, it was still a blast to watch. I was very impressed.
I thought the dialogue was cheesy, but it was written to be cheesy at moments where it works. Like, they knew this is going to work. There were a few moments where it just didn't hit, and that's where I thought the dialogue was a little bit cringeworthy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't many times. one of my like I loved Elizabeth Banks. I thought she was really great, but she was in a different movie. It couldn't tell like with the villain. It was
Yeah.
like you gotta go campy or you've gotta go serious. And it's like the other ones. Everybody else was taking themselves seriously, but knew what they were doing. They knew what they had. Where she was like, no, I'm gonna be this dark, grittier villain, and so the dialogue didn't work as well for her. I thought.
Do you think that was because of the? Sorry to interrupt you, but I was just curious. Do you think it was because of the directing or because of the actress? Because I thought it was for the directing.
I actually think that was because of the script.
The
I
script,
think because
okay.
they had a script where they knew what it was. It had cheese moments. Actually, or script, maybe not the script, maybe her performance, where she took it a little bit more serious than it probably needed to be. But I did
Okay.
like her. She's creepy, and there are moments where you're like, "Whoa,
Yeah,
this is kind of
for
creepy."
sure.
But I mean, you're there for Goldar fighting big gold monsters fighting robots.
Yeah.
And that's what you're there for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with just about everything you said. I thought some of the shots were really cool. I thought some, like the slow motion stuff I didn't like, but some of the sweeping shots where they're like, going all around, they kind of have that Avenger shot, the circle shot. I really liked those. So there, I also, quick positive just because I remembered it. I thought the CGI looked really, really good. I didn't think any of the CGI looked bad. I thought the suits looked fantastic. I thought the Zords looked fantastic.
Yeah, that stuff was really good.
So yeah, a few negatives. It is campy, it's cheesy, it's not for everyone. But if you like turning your brain off and watching fun, and if you're a fan of the IP, you're good, man.
Mm-hmm.
So should I go into fanboy mode now, or do you want to do it after scores?
No, go into fanboy now. Right.
So I'm gonna set a little story here because we all know here at Movie Meals how big of a Star Wars fan I am. But to be real honest, Power Rangers probably impacted my life a little bit more. Not a little. The way Power Rangers hit me was a little bit different than Star Wars, and I want to tell a quick story about that. So when I was very young, probably 5 or 6, my family lived really close to our school, where actually him and I went to elementary school together.
True story, yeah.
And I was literally, I walked to school. It was incredibly close, like a 3-minute, 5-minute walk. And one day my sisters and I were going there, and this was before I saw Power Rangers, and some kids were kind of picked on me because I was just a small kid, and they were bullies, and they were mean to me and whatnot. I saw the Power Rangers shortly after that, and I can still remember to this day riding my little 3-wheel tricycle with my sisters, and those same kids were there, and they were starting to pick on me, and my sisters didn't really know what to do, and I straight up, as a little kid, I was like 5, 6 years, 7 years old, I got off my little tricycle and I said, "You can't beat me," or something like that. "I'm a Power Ranger." And I started just flailing my arms and doing moves, man. And that was the first time I stood up to a bully at such a young age. And that's what it was really cool that this show is able to make you feel like you could do that. And sitting in this movie made me feel those feelings again. I felt it was like, because the Power Rangers are all about, believing in each other, and you can do anything, man. And I gotta be honest, it's gotta be cheesy, but that story just came back to me when we walked out of this movie because Power Rangers helped shape my life. So it was incredible to sit there. It was very, very similar, probably not as impactful, but also in a way a different impact with Star Wars. It was the same feeling of sitting there, and I'm suddenly 7 years old, and it's a fantastic feeling. That this IP can come back and this property can come back and be so cool and hit fans like that, because I still felt, I was like, man, it's the same theme. Believe in each other, be true to each other, and we can do anything. And I loved it. So as a fan, to be honest, as a big fan of the Power Rangers, I would go like a 9.5 out of 10 for my score.
That's awesome.
My critic score is probably more around like a 6.5, 7 out of 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But it's still fun no matter what. But I wanted to tell that story. I love the Power Rangers, man. They help make me the man I am today.
Awesome story, bro.
Thank you.
And on that note,
what's your score?
Yeah,
3 out of 10. Don't ruin this moment.
No, I'm actually surprised by your ranks. It's similar to mine. It's also a 6.5 out of 10. I think this is a fun movie that the fans will enjoy, as well as casual viewers will also enjoy. Is to shut your brain off and just enjoy all the action and all the funny moments that are going on in this, and enjoying these characters as well. And I actually can see this becoming a pretty good franchise. I do think that another one will be made.
It'll help that now we don't need to set them up.
Yeah, exactly. And this movie does have a lot of setup, but it does pay off well towards the end.
And there is an end credit scene
Yes.
And if you know the Power Rangers, you got to check out, man.
So make sure to watch the end credits scene as well. But no, while that stuff was great for me, the negatives for me took me out of the movie a lot of the times, which is why I have to bump it down to about a 6.5.
Which it's not a bad score, man. That's a fine score for these type of movies. Know what you're gonna go in for fun. Don't go in wanting Manchester by the Sea.
It's not gonna rip your heart.
Go in wanting fun, wanting martial arts, kick butt, robots, and cheesy dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, I don't think you're watching this one, but I'm gonna thank you anyway because I love you.
See you guys.